Action, take one.
Hello, welcome to Meet Me at the Movies. I am Noel T. Manning II, and we sent Thomas out of the town. That's right. We sent Thomas out on location the past few weeks to grab some interviews with some filmmakers and other entertainers so we could share those with you. So today we're going to be talking to an Oscar winner by the name of Gary Oldman, Phil Dunster from Ted Lasso, and also another Oscar winner that you may remember from the film Get Out. So we encourage you to stick around and let's check out these interviews with Thomas Manning right here on Meet Me at the Movies.
Hi, and welcome into Meet Me in the Movies Open Dialogue. This is Thomas Manning, and recently I got to take part in a press junket with Oscar winner Gary Oldman and his co-star Jack Lowden from the Apple TV Plus series Slow Horses, a spy thriller series that is currently in its third season. And it was a privilege to hear Jack and Gary just share about their craft and their experience on this show, which is structured in a very unique way, at least in terms of television, with one director per season. They had, a single director in the first season, a different director in the second, and now in the third season, they have Saul Metzstein directing all of the episodes. So hearing them speak about how that kind of affects their approach and their experience on set as actors was very fascinating. And just once again, want to thank Gary Oldman and Jack Lowden for a great discussion about Slow Horses, the Apple TV Plus series. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I hope you enjoy.
What's going on?
Ex-service agent, found dead.
Cause of death?
Heart failure. He was in his 60s, smoked, drank.
It's hard to all that. Look at me, huh? I'm in my prime.
Yeah. I'm going to head right into it. I think it's really interesting to look at the directors you're working with in Slow Horses. All of season one was directed by James Halls, then season two by Jeremy Lovering, and then season three, all episodes directed by Saul Metzstein. So when you're working with a single director throughout each season, how does having that one director's voice inform the decisions you make as actors, as opposed to working with multiple directors in a single season?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because it was a big. It was initially going in. It was a bit of a challenge. As you know, you normally have a director who comes in and he does the pilot, and then another director comes in, and then after 2 episodes, another director comes in. It was a real conscious decision to have one director direct all 6, and in a sense it's like a 6-hour movie, so you're not always sort of just continually sort of switching up, and you find a rhythm and a continuity with just the one person at the helm, and I think that the show, I would like to think that some of the success of the show is because of that. I occasionally think other shows suffer from the fact that they're switching up the vision in a way. There has to be. It's benign dictatorship. There has to be one vision of the overview. And I think that that's partly the success that we've had with it.
And Jack, anything you'd like to add to that from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, in complete agreement. I think the more continuity, the better, and the directors have been fantastic. I think ultimately, what's quite nice to feel is that it strangely puts more trust on the shoulders of the actors, I think, because nobody really knows the characters definitely better than we do because we've already played them, unlike when you do a feature film. So there's a lot. You have to employ the right actors that can carry that, and I think they do that. They've done a brilliant job of that on this, and the actors are sort of can point the directors in ways with the characters that I think when you work on feature film you probably can't as much. So it's a really interesting dynamic, and it seems to be working really well. It's great. It's a really nice experience because I've never done it. Yeah.
And you're working with such a unique blend of tones and slow horses. Of course, it's an espionage drama, and it deals with some dark subject matter, and many of these issues are reflected in our real world today. But the show also has a sense of humor, which manages to reveal itself in the midst of all of that. So when you're seeking that tonal balance for the story, what do you appreciate about the opportunities that are provided to you as actors in these characterizations?
Can you get out of the vehicle, please, Mr. Lamb?
No, I'm quite comfortable where I am. These seats are lovely, and they're heated too.
Step out the vehicle now.
No, I'm okay where I am. You go fetch your boss and tell him I brought the car back, but we need to go over the damage waiver.
Well, I think the frequency or tone of the show was set in the first season with James Hawes, who really did it set up the world, and he cast it, and you know, so there's that. We don't. It's not a show, I think, where we ask for a laugh. I think that the humor in the show is sometimes it's situational, sometimes, but the verbal humor is very throwaway. You know, what I'd like to, it's sort of under the radar, rather than you know, hey everyone, you know, it's that old thing of, you know, don't ask for the laugh, ask for a cup of tea. That's an old it's an old a theatre line, I think, from the Lunts, actually. Why aren't we getting that laugh anymore? Well, because you're not asking for the tea anymore. You're asking for a laugh. Yeah, I think that's partly why it works. It's a fine balance between the seriousness and the earnestness of it, but also keeping that other frequency, that comic frequency going. And we've managed. I think I'd like to think we've managed to do it very successfully.
Park it downstairs. I could murder a coffee. What's the canteen like in this gap?
Well, Gary and Jack, it really was an absolute privilege to speak with the two of you today, and I greatly appreciate your time, and thank you for all that you do, you know, for television and for filmmaking, and hopefully we share more conversations in the future.
All right, thank you.
I got pictures up.
Pictures
up. Pictures up. Let's roll sound. Rolling. Rolling.
Hi, and welcome into Meet Me in the Movies Open Dialogue. This is Thomas Manning, and today I'm really excited to be sharing with you my recent conversation with two incredible talents, Oscar winner Daniel Kaluuya and Kane Robinson, a rapper, songwriter, and actor, also known as Kano. We're talking about their new project, The Kitchen, film on Netflix. This is actually Daniel Kaluuya's first time co-directing a feature. He directs alongside Kiwi Tavares, who is a filmmaker who also has an extensive background in architecture, which really informs the story thematically and visually, and pretty much on all filmmaking and storytelling levels, that architecture is very significant to this film. And it was a really fascinating conversation hearing Daniel and Kano just talk about how that informed their decisions as filmmakers and actors on this project. And it was great 5-minute segment with them, and I really appreciated their time. And it's just a privilege anytime we get to do these. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Once again, as we speak with Daniel Kaluuya and Kane Robinson, also known as Kano, about the film The Kitchen on Netflix. Hope you enjoy. Daniel and Kane, it's great to meet you. My name is Thomas Manning with Meet Me in the Movies. I really appreciate your time today.
Good to meet you too, man.
You too.
Yeah. And I'll get right to it. And this first question is for the both of you. So looking to the community of characters in The Kitchen, every decision they make throughout the movie is informed by their connection to their home. So for the two of you, how have your homes and communities continued to be an important part in who you are as people and artists?
For me, it's about like it's who I represent. Like I feel like when I step out, I feel very connected to London, the London community, London culture. I feel very connected to the black community, black culture, and yeah, like I want to represent that and be unapologetically myself through that lens and where I've come from and what I've been brought up in. So yeah.
Yeah, and for me the same. I feel I'm very much a Londoner. No matter where I go around the world, I'm still a Londoner. You know, if London had a flag, it would be outside my house hanging. You know, I'm London patriotic, but also my family came over from Jamaica, Windrush generation. You know, my nan and my mum was born there, so although they moved to London, like there was so much like Jamaican influences in my household, and I feel like growing up in that, I carry that with me, you know, in my personality and in my choices creatively, in my musical tastes, and yeah, just artistically generally. So that's definitely a part of me as well.
And Daniel, you've worked with so many brilliant directors in your career as an actor, and I imagine that there's a ton of filmmaking knowledge you've gained during this time, and that you've learned something unique from each director. So looking to The Kitchen, you're co-directing the film along with Kibwe, who has an extensive background in architecture, and that's reflected in the stories he tells as a filmmaker. So specifically in terms of the thematic significance of architecture in The Kitchen, what did you learn from your experience collaborating with Kibwe that you will take with you moving forward in your career, you know, both in front of the camera and behind the camera?
I think it's really just tapping into something I had as a kid, to be honest, is using my imagination. You know what I'm saying? It's like sometimes when you're making up something, you can give yourself limits, and which is kind of strange. You know what I'm saying? There's no budget on imagination. So then, like, I think working with Kibwe and building this world, we just was like, well then, what could we imagine? I mean, what would look cool? What would be amazing? Because we're not trying to do like the kind of like really shiny, massive. We want to make it intimate. We want to make something big and intimate. We want to make something that feels connected. And it's just how you can express that and how you can tell the story through the visual language of cinema, essentially.
And Kane, is there anything you'd like to add about that from your experience as an actor and what you gained from Kibwe's direction and vision?
No, it was just amazing working with them both. You know, Kibwe, I spoke to, you know, at the beginning, and he showed me the world, and it was like something I had never seen before, you know. And, you know, growing up and liking British films, I never really seen something as ambitious as this, you know. And I knew it was going to speak to, like, specifically to a London community, but also have global appeal at the same time. And that's what really intrigued me about the project, and to see if it could be executed. Then having a lot of chats with Daniel and then working with him on set, I learned so much, you know, so much. We all learned during this process. It's Daniel's, you know, directorial debut, so Kibwe's as well, first feature film, me, first feature film as a lead, so we was all learning by helping each other.
Well, I know we've got a wrap here, but Daniel and Kane, I can't thank you enough for your time, and hope you have a great afternoon, and hope we share more conversations in the future.
Appreciate that, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. And action!
All right, thank you, Thomas, and we appreciate you, the audience, spending time with us right here on Meet Me at the Movies as we engage in the expanded definition of cinema. Small screen, big screen doesn't matter. If it's entertainment, we want to dive into it. So after this quick intermission, we're going to come back with more interview opportunities that Thomas Manning took advantage of over the past couple weeks. So stick around. I'm Noel T. Manning II. We'll be right back.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick?
Chef Paul Prudhomme once said, "You don't need a silver fork to eat good food." Well, on Cleveland County Kitchen, we don't have a silver fork, but we sure do serve up lots of good food. Hi, I'm Deborah Blanton. I hope you'll join me for the next Cleveland County Kitchen. Each month, we offer a complete farm-to-table experience. We visit local growers, we learn about nutrition, and wrap things up with wonderful meals prepared by our guest chefs. It's a lot of fun. I hope you'll join me for the next Cleveland County Kitchen.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a...
Hello, welcome back to Meet Me at the Movies, and we appreciate you spending time with us as today we decided to spend time showing you what Thomas has been up to for the past few weeks. He's been doing interviews like crazy with TV stars and filmmakers, and I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, and we got more. So let's see who Thomas has lined up in Studio Z right now. Thomas, what you got, man?
Jamie talk Jamie talk
Action!
Hi, and welcome into Meet Me in the Movies Open Dialogue. This is Thomas Manning, and today I couldn't be more delighted to be sharing my recent conversation with Jamie Tart himself, Phil Dunster from Ted Lasso. And I've gotten to share multiple conversations with cast and crew of Ted Lasso over the past couple years, and it's meant a lot to me to be able to take part in that and just to talk to people about one of my favorite shows in recent memory, really one of my favorite shows of all time. And it was also cool that I got a compliment on both my mustache, or the tash as Phil calls it, as well as my voice, my accent from Phil. So if Jamie Tart compliments you on something, then I guess you're doing something right. So thank you all again for watching and listening as we speak with the Emmy-nominated and Critics' Choice TV Award-nominated Phil Dunster about his work on Ted Lasso. Hope you all enjoy. Well, Phil, it really is a pleasure to meet you, and I appreciate your time today.
Oh, dude, what a treat. And I'm just happy to be here, not only with the tash and that lovely voice of yours, but also that fantastic jumper / sweater, whatever you call it.
Gotta represent. Yeah, it's a sweater where I come from, but you know, different things regionally. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. So I'm coming from North Carolina, so that's also where the accent comes from as well. So
I see. East Coast.
That's right. Yes, sir. East Coast.
Yes. Okay. Great. I'm learning. Right.
Well, I'll head right into it, talking about your work with Ted Lasso, and Jamie Tart represents the ultimate redemption arc. By the end of season 3, parts of him feel like an entirely different person than he was in season 1. And you've carried this character with you for 3 years now. So during this time, how has Jamie's journey as a character changed, you as a person in any way?
Well, I think that I don't know how much it's changed me, Jamie specifically, but something that I certainly see in him that I think, God, I wish I could have some of that, is his footballing ability. Also his sort of coolness and street cred. But it's really a sort of assertiveness and a sort of forwardness with how he feels. Now, of course, there are sort of two sides to that, in that it kind of gets him into trouble. Sometimes he is conceited and selfish, and his assertiveness is based off of that. But I think also he's clear with what he wants. He's clear with how he feels. And I think that that's something that is, when done well, I think it's a really powerful attribute that people have. So, I guess if I could sort of channel anything from Jamie, if I have learned anything from him, I think it's probably trying to integrate that into my life a little bit.
And when you first came onto the show, How much at the very beginning were you aware of in regard to where Jamie's character was going and the arc that he would go over the next 3 seasons?
Well, not a huge amount, really, because I think that whilst they had a good idea of where they wanted to go with it, they didn't. They wanted to sort of see how it went. So, when I say they, I mean Joe, Bill, Brendan, Jason, the creators of the show, and particularly Jason. The show sort of lives in his bones, and so he would sort of release bits of information about, to each of the actors about their character, sort of bit by bit. And so we would learn a little bit, but I think it's interesting. It's a really interesting way that we didn't have all the information to begin with, in the same way that nobody really knows what's going to happen for the rest of the day, the rest of the week, the rest of the year. And so it happens, you have to react as it comes. And so, yeah, we had a lot of like being present and acting off what we know to be true from, what we acted and read in the script. And I think that that's a powerful thing, because you're not playing something that's not happened yet. You can't use that as motivation.
And I think a specific relationship in Jamie's life that we see explored is that relationship dynamic between Jamie and his father. And by the end of season 3, I think that marks the completion of Jamie's arc, when we see his capacity for forgiveness and just his compassion. So what did you appreciate about exploring that side of Jamie's character and that relationship between him and his father, and the way that arc took you?
Well, I think it's interesting you say that, because I think that Jamie had life is just a bunch of decisions that we make, right? It's choices that we have, and Jamie was acting upon making better informed decisions as you went along. What we see is we see him learn to listen and learn to absorb the lessons around him. Keeley, I would say, is his greatest teacher. Of course, there's Ted and Roy Kent, who are incredibly instrumental, sort of father familial figures. But I think that it's Keeley who really teaches through empathy and compassion, teaches him how to listen. And so I think that trying to embed the lessons that he learns each time he sees Keeley into how he sort of then went out into the world, that was a really fun challenge to sort of set myself. Was how is he being informed by the world around him, and in particular the relationships that are around him.
And a few months ago, I actually spoke with director Declan Lowney, who worked on the show, and I think he directed a total of 8 episodes across all 3 seasons, including the season 3 finale. So, what do you recall specifically about Declan's approach as a director in working with you and the development of Jamie?
I'd say that Declan. It's really, I'd say, for any director on this, it was really how they work with Jason, because, as I say, Jason is this sort of, he's the engine of the whole piece, the heart, the soul of the whole piece. And Declan was incredibly good at knowing where and when to push forward with a certain idea, and when to let Jason take on the reins. And it was a really brilliant simpatico. Is that the right word?
Sounds about right. Yeah.
And so I suppose that really understanding when to follow your instincts, when to take initiative, and also when to turn the dial up of collaboration, or just taking the note, or whatever that might mean. And he was always incredibly positive, always incredibly supportive, really, Declan. And I think that's why he I'd say him and Matt Lipsey were the most they were around the most and the most sort of influential of the directors. I mean, there were so many brilliant directors that worked on it. Erica Dunton, MGM Delaney, to name a few. And I think that's when it was working at its best was when you saw a collection of people knowing when to listen, when to push, when to pull, whatever sort of metaphor you want to use. But I'd say it's learning that from someone like Declan, who is like, with all due respect, an old hand at it. He's an experienced guy, and he's been there, done that, and got the t-shirt, and he's just excellent.
I ain't doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong.
And with Ted Lasso, obviously he comes from Kansas, and it's kind of a fish out of water type thing going on. And a lot of his language regionally is not exactly what people at AFC Richmond are used to hearing. And he has a lot of figures of speech, a lot of expressions. So I'd love to hear, what is your favorite Lassoism that in this pearl of wisdom that Ted drops throughout the series?
It's a really boring answer, but be curious and not judgmental it's so good. And I think I know so many people who you're like, you just want to send them the meme of be curious and not judgmental. And there have genuinely been times when I felt like nervous in a situation, or like, I don't know, tired or whatever. And, it's pretty lame, but I've literally said in my head to myself, like, just try being curious and don't be judgmental. And it's amazing what happens. You just ask a couple of questions and you kind of forget that feeling. I don't know. That probably feels too neat and like I'm on song, but yeah, I'm a pretty unoriginal dude.
I won't hold that against you. That's a beautiful answer, and I think that's something that so many people around the world have connected with. So absolutely,
sure.
Well, Phil, I know we got to wrap things up here, but I just want to say again how much I appreciate your time today and how much this show has meant to me and meant to a lot of people in my life. And just thank you for your part in it, and thank you for the stories you continue to tell. And hopefully we share more conversations in the future about what other work you got coming down the line.
Let's do it, man. I want to see the update on this Tash. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you have a great afternoon, and hopefully we'll talk more soon.
Thanks, brother. All right, in a bit. See you next time.
Thomas, thanks so much for these wonderful interviews. Really appreciate your time, your thoughtfulness as you prepare for these. And I really always love hearing from these filmmakers, especially when you get the questions out to them. So thank you so much. And for anybody out there listening and watching, email us, info@C19TV. Let us know what you think. If you've got questions, comments, suggestions, send them our way. We appreciate that, as always. Until next time, for Meet Me at the Movies, I'm Noel T. Manning II. And for the entire cast and crew, we say thank you. And that's a wrap.
Many films to view until we meet again. Next time we see you, we'll gladly fill you in. We'll tell about the happy and the sad ones. We'll talk about the good ones and the bad ones. Many films to view till we meet again.